GlitchX is almost here, and this is going to be big. The fact that it's even happening in the first place is already absolutely monumental within the realms of independent creators. This is something that we desperately need, and it's something that more people need to pay attention to, not just within the fan bases of stuff like Murder Drones, The Amazing Digital Circus, Lackadaisy, and Hell of a Boss, but this right here, this could be the solution to one of the biggest problems that Hollywood itself is facing overall. And no, it's not just the, hey, how can we create new and engaging stories for our audiences, or how can we make the most of animation, but how do we connect with an audience that Hollywood has written off? Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And today I want to step away from simply reviewing and analyzing various stories and having a look at what writing advice we can pull from them, and instead I want to get a little bit meta right here, and I want to talk about the importance of GlitchX. Because while this is just really a fun way for creators to get together, to interact with the fans, not just in Australia, but all around the world, and to bring together all these different fan bases to celebrate the power of indie cartoons, this gathering right here, this Comic-Con, as it were, of independent creators, might just be the key to getting the ball rolling and building some bridges that are absolutely necessary to revolutionize the entertainment business, because it is absolutely needed. Let's start off with the problems that we see. So, Hollywood is unfortunately going to bear a massive brunt of the blame. However, it does begin to spill to all different companies and various sectors of the entertainment industry as a whole. Because Hollywood is where all of the glitz and glam, the popularity, the money is to be made, to be had, to be enjoyed. And as such, what Hollywood wants is normally where the rest of the entertainment complex tends to lean. If Hollywood has decided that zombies are what's going to be done, then for the next 5 to 6 years, everyone's expected to kind of lean towards zombies or lean towards superheroes. We're right now coming out of that superhero swing, and people are like, ooh, are video games the next big thing? And that's what it seems like. It seems like movies based off of video games are going to be the next big thing. And so right now, it's not just stories about video games being adapted, but it goes now from artists to publishers to writers, now quickly scrambling to find any sort of story that can be about video games. If it's not a video game property that has already been picked up, what can they then do with these ideas of video games, crossing over into video games, making video games, so on and so forth. And as such, a whole bunch of other creative endeavors are being crowded out and shunted to the side. That means that we're losing very important voices for what kinds of stories can and should be told, as well as actually cementing new modern myths, new legacies, new fan bases, new lines of merchandising for you, Hollywood, that can be used to communicate all different kinds of amazing stories, bring in more audiences, and really just enrich the entertainment industry and everyone who's involved with these stories, whether making them or consuming them. Now, some of you might be rolling your eyes thinking like, stories are there to be enjoyed, Lars. They're not there to be consumed. And I do agree with you in spirit. Absolutely. Anyone who decides to put in the effort to make any sort of story should be doing it because they love that story. They love storytelling in whatever medium they are doing it in. However, the fact of the matter remains is that unless you are somehow making money, it's very, very hard to get your stories out there to the masses. And especially if you're someone who wants to do this for a living, you actually have to make a living off off of it. Now then, this is where the indie creators begin to come in, because it is so hard to get into Hollywood. It is so hard to get into traditional publishing. Why? Because they are gatekept. If you do not fit certain parameters of who you are as a person, as well as what kind of story you are telling during the time that they are saying only these stories will be accepted, you are effectively screwed, and you're not going anywhere unless you're willing to foot the bill, put in the time to be an independent creator, and really take some big risks. This is where the stories of people like Liam Vickers, ViziePop's Gooseworx, and Tracy Butler, Sir Pello, all come in. Why? Well, not just because they're being featured at GlitchX, but because these are people, along with so many others, who have stuck it out and have really taken some big risks, continue to work really hard, despite the fact that they continue to be ignored again and again, and that they've been faced with defeats and disappointments again and again and again, in order to bring to us, the masses, stories that we didn't even know that we needed. And this is where Hollywood has really been screwing up. It's very easy to slap Hollywood around and be all like, you guys aren't creative enough anymore. Like, come up with something new and original. Stop coming up with the sequel to the sequel to the prequel to the prequel of the sequel. Stop it. Stop just doing remakes, soulless remakes of stuff that's already been done and that was popular and done perfectly earlier on. Like all of the Disney classics. Or why is it that we continue to have to do A Star is Born again and again and again? Or The Fault in Our Stars is a story that has been repeated again and again and again. Where is the creativity? It's so easy to attack that because it's very obvious and right there in front of us. However, one thing that Hollywood has not been doing, and this is something that I've been hearing quite a bit from others, especially those like Valiant Renegade, who look at the box office numbers and everything else, it is this, that the late teen demographic to early adult demographic is not being served. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't stories being made for them. I mean, just look at Nimona right there. There are stories that are being made for people within that age range, and while they can be done really well, some of these stories come off as rather niche. Where then is the big hit that shows that this demographic that does want to be entertained, that wants stories for them, where are those kinds of stories being told? Where are they being made? They are being made by the independent creators, by those young individuals who are full of life and just drive to take their ideas and make them into reality, and they are creating those kinds of stories for people within that age range. And while I myself might be just beyond the cusp of that in my 30s, I still love these stories that are being marketed to a young adult audience. And what's more is this, is that stuff like Hell of a Boss and Lackadaisy, Murder Drones, all of these stories, while they are geared towards a specific audience, are told well enough that they still appeal to mass audiences. And this is again something that Hollywood seems to have forgotten, that it is indeed possible to make stories that appeal to wide audiences, and that you don't need to bully and badger people into accepting something that is niche. By all means, create niche stories. Those can be a whole lot of fun. But you still want to make a story that appeals to the most people possible. Why? Because you are in the business of making money, Hollywood. And where is that money being made? Same for you, traditional publishers. Where's the money being made? I hear all these excuses that people just don't want to read anymore. And honestly, that is wrong. People do want to read. They just want to be guaranteed that they're going to read a good book. There's just so many derivatives and bland novels out there that people aren't going to the bookstores in droves to consume the newest book. And yes, you might say, well, they're just looking for the next Harry Potter, but still, people just want to know that when they go to consume a story, that is going to entertain them, that it's going to connect with them. And we have been served so much bland fare for years by now that across the entire world, having a chance to talk to people from all over the world, all of them are in this same horrible boat of, we're just waiting for good stories. And this is one of the reasons why something like The Amazing Digital Circus has taken off so phenomenally. Why Helva Boss always delivers is because these are stories that just speak to lots of people. They are entertaining, fun, solid stories. And this is something that independent creators are in a unique position to deliver on. Why is that? Because they don't have the oversight of big production companies or big publishers and editors telling them, no, you must do this because our stats, our numbers say that this is the best thing that you should do. We have chosen zombies for the next 5 years. We've chosen superheroes for the next 5 years. We have chosen romance novels for the next 5 years. Therefore, for the next 5 years, that is what you got to focus on because all our numbers say that is how we are going to make money. Instead, independent creators say, look, there is a story that we want to tell. And Glitch Productions was very, very smart in what they said, where they looked at their audience and they said the audience of late teens to early 20s to mid 20s is not being served. What are stories then that we can tell, that we can champion, that these people will like? So from there, Glitch did Meta Runner. They then supported Liam Vickers in creating Murder Drones, and now they've been working with Gooseworx to promote and to produce The Amazing Digital Circus. And they have all done really well. The Amazing Digital Circus specifically has done very well. And with all of this attention, with all of this money, Glitch is doing something very, very smart. Rather than allowing the fans to quibble and argue amongst each other about which one is better, which unfortunately is going to happen because people always want to know which one is the best, and we're obsessed for whatever dumb reason with putting things into boxes. The box of the best, the box of the worst, the box of the stuff I like, the box of the stuff I don't like, what is in whatever box. It's dumb. We as humans should try to not do it, but we do it anyway. So Glitch Studios is trying to circumvent all of that by bringing all of these different successful indie creators together to champion the cause of indie cartoons, of indie storytelling. Get these independent creators out of the woodworks and before a massive audience, because everyone needs these kinds of stories. And the numbers, dear Hollywood, definitely show. You do not get 2 million plus views a day like what's happening with The Amazing Digital Circus and not be a hit. I mean, just come on. Hollywood would be murdering people left and right now if they could have those kinds of numbers, because those numbers are putting Netflix, Peacock, and Disney Plus to shame. So let's take my rambling and let's actually put it into a ball of understanding right here, which I know some people are like, yes, Lars, get to the point. Well, you know what, sometimes you just gotta get these things off your chest. But finally getting to the point, why does any of this actually matter beyond, well, it puts money into the pockets of indie creators who have definitely deserved it? Well, here's a couple of things that we actually need to think about. Why this needs to be broadcasted from every rooftop and championed throughout the entire world. Why more people need to get in on this. Why people need to support GlitchX, get the word out there, and especially pull in older audiences. Yes, we need to bring in the older audiences. Here is where this could all lead. Number one, independent creators need to be seen. They need to know that there are success stories, and they need to hear how they can pursue that. We just need to accept that not every independent creator is going to be successful. It would be amazing if we all could be, but it unfortunately just won't happen. However, that knowledge always seems to crush so many people's souls. Instead, let us celebrate these victories and let them be something that energizes all of us within the independent creative sphere to continue to strive, to work hard, to dream, to risk in order that one day we might also succeed and have our own amazing victory. Whether that be we sell so many copies of one of our books, that one of our cartoons gets picked up, that someone starts downloading all of your fantastic music that you've made, or that they start checking out and buying your video game. Whatever it is that you are creating, that you have a chance to get that on out there. We need to celebrate and support indie creators, and that's a really big deal. The next thing is this. The reason why we need the older generations to get in on it is this. They are starved for entertainment, and the fact that these shows are reaching out to wide audiences, that's something that was made first and foremost for late teenagers, people in their early 20s, reaching up to about 30 years old, that it can resonate with people in their late 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, or even in their early teen years is remarkable. Those are stories that sell well. Those are stories that people consume, that they talk about, and that they share with their friends. And when those stories get shared, those stories have a chance to become part of the zeitgeist, to become part of our culture, and to ascend to modern myth. One of the biggest problems is this, and this is something that Hollywood especially has perpetuated, and that the publishing companies have also happily moved along, is that we continue to rehash the same old successful stories again and again and again. We're not going anywhere. Funny enough, Steven Spielberg said that he loved the story of Ready Player One because it was a story about stagnation. There were social commentary people who said that this was an absolutely awful book and that the movie was awful. Why? Because it showed a society that could not move on from the 80s. And yet, when you look around, how many people pine for the 80s because the 80s just seem magically better? And many of the stories from the 80s are really good. People come back to them. And then the same for the 90s. And now we're rehashing only the best of stuff from the 2000s. We just keep on rehashing, remixing, reslicing, reapplying makeup and a new face to the same stories from the same decades again and again and again. We're not going anywhere. And yet, at the same time, these indie creators are offering up brand new stories. Yes, there are similarities between them and other things that we have seen and read before. However, how many of you expected to be watching and enjoying a series about assassins in hell who at first it seems like, oh, they're going to go to Earth to assassinate people that the denizens of hell really wish that they could get revenge on, and then to have it become this very therapeutic series about individual problems and how to overcome the various issues that landed these monsters in hell or keeps them in hell? Wow, that is something new. That's something that we didn't expect. Murder Drones, a fantastic Lovecraftian homage to all these other horror franchises that still tells a fascinating and compelling Lovecraftian story about these central characters, NV and Uzi, going on this adventure, uncovering the mysteries of the past, and facing down this existential crisis wrapped up in some horrible eldritch god. We then have the Amazing Digital Circus, a really funny, spooky take on the nature of being stuck in an existential crisis, and how people deal with that. And then we've got something like Lackadaisy. And here's the thing, Lackadaisy doesn't even speak to some of these grandiose notions about necessarily people until you get far later on into the web comics. However, at first, at its front, and its front is good, say its front, but the beginning, the introduction to the story is just a really good, action-packed, lovable telling through cats of what it would be like to be bootleggers in the 1930s. The glamour and the danger of that kind of job. And as we get sucked into this horrible world of self-destruction, which is beautied up by the glitz, the glam, and the money, we then come to really love these characters, and we hope that they somehow get themselves out of this horrible cycle of self-destruction. When I look back at these various shows right here, they're all just fun, and they resonate with us on personal levels while telling sweeping overarching stories that are interesting, that are engaging, that people come and they theorize about, like what we do here on Camille's Harem. You have entire channels dedicated to breaking down the lore and the world building of ViziePop's Hell. You have entire channels dedicated to murder drones, and we're soon going to have a whole bunch of channels dedicated to the amazing digital circus. And that is good. We need to support this kind of stuff. Why? Because, like I said, it becomes part of the zeitgeist, becomes part of our pop culture, and as it is passed on from generation to generation, which is why we need the older generations to be introduced to this stuff, as generations interact with these stories and pass them on, we get to create new modern myths, so that way we can stop arguing finally about all of these rehashings of Star Wars and Star Trek. The originals were great. If you like the new stuff, fine, but let's move on and get to something new already. This is where independent creators come in clutch. This is something that Hollywood can't do because they are bound to their own hubris and to their own ridiculous numbers, which disregard what people are actually looking for because they think that they understand how to make money. And yes, when we look at Glitch and at ViziePop and at Tracy Butler, they are not rolling in heaps of cash, which makes Hollywood and the people who think that they understand pop culture be like, yeah, no, these things right here, they don't matter. Why? Because they're not rolling in billions of dollars. Who cares when you're able to reach tens of millions of people on a fraction of the budget that Hollywood has? And those tens of millions of people are interacting with your stories in very positive and inclusive ways. Something that Hollywood has not seen since the end of Endgame. Yes, that has only been a few years back, relatively speaking, but it's incredible to see how the entertainment complex has fallen from such lofty heights in such a short amount of time and refuses to acknowledge these indie creators. We need to be the ones to actually acknowledge them and to support them, and GlitchX is one of the best ways by which we can do that. So, if you want to be supportive of indie creators, if you want to be supportive of just some amazing stories, some amazing artwork that has been done there, if you want to be the engine for change in pop culture, if you want to be a part of shaping modern myth as we know it, then let us do our part, get the word out about GlitchX. We still have time. Let's pull in as many people as we can to enjoy these stories. And again, especially target the older audiences. Older generations need to be brought in to see these stories. Yes, they won't like everything that is there. Some people won't like Hell of a Boss. Some people won't like Lackadaisy. Some people won't like the Amazing Digital Circus. Some people won't like Murder Drones. And that is okay. But what is necessary is still to bring them in because they will find something that they do like. And when they do like it, these older generations will be happy to pass that along to their friends, to their families, to their loved ones. And those people will consume those stories, spread them further abroad, and that will change the pulp culture landscape. It will give independent creators more purchase, more exposure, more of a chance to tell their stories, to have a positive impact, to inspire more people. It is happening. I truly believe that this is the future right here, but this is a positive future that we can help to accelerate rather than let languish for some years yet to come before everyone wakes up to just how amazing independent creators truly are and what kind of power they have when they are given the resources and the support to make their dreams become a reality. This is why GlitchX is so vital. It's not just to bring the fan bases together and to have awesome conversations with creators and voice actors. Yes, at the face of it, that's what it is, but this can be the first important step forward to a brand new era of storytelling, of entertainment that will empower you and I as novice authors to do some incredible things down the road. So, let's get to it. But to wrap up, let me just say this. If you'd already like to support what we do here on Camille's Harem, liking, commenting, sharing our videos is always greatly appreciated. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Also, you can check out the books that we've already published. Links for them are in the description below. We would absolutely love it if you check out the books that we've published, read them, give them their reviews. That would help us out a ton. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible adventure that we call writing, because as independent creators together, we can make amazing things happen. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.